Well, what a great way to kick off today's show. A couple of wonderful community members and those who serve our families and kids so well through Woodview. This is Kelly Bryant. She is a child and youth worker and parent outreach support worker at Woodview, and Nikki Straza, who is the youth and family engagement lead at Woodview. Ladies, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
great to be here again.
Now, guys, this is a weird time in life. I mean, I don't have to spell out exactly why it's so weird, but even in the last number of weeks on television, there has been all kinds of different things, including things like war and uprising and all these different things. How do kids deal with this? This is overwhelming for adults. I mean, how in the world can kids process this kind of uncertainty that we see all around us right now?
Yeah, you're right. They're getting information from friends, from school, from social media, from their families and parents' conversations they're hearing, and it can be very overwhelming, and a lot of things coming at them at a lot and often. Yeah, so they're trying to process as best as they can. Hopefully coming to their parents and support people to get information when they're confused or worried about what they're hearing in the world.
And what if they don't? Because I've got 3 kids. I've got 3. Yeah. Mine are now in the teen world, but I know that it's different with different age groups and that sort of thing. Exactly. And we've got some of my kids are talkers and some are internalizers. So as a parent, how do you sort of identify that with kids that react so differently?
That's right. And everybody's going to react differently when they hear big news. And so, knowing your children, knowing how they act and react to news that they're seeing is going to be important. The talkers, giving them space and time to talk. And then the internalizers, you still need to be able to hold space for them, in ways that work for them. So it might be on a car ride when you have their undivided attention. It's noticing cues, is maybe their sleep patterns or their eating patterns off? It might be something that you need to broach with them, like, hey, how are you doing? Some check-ins with them. The most important thing for either internalizers or externalizers is letting them know that you're available to talk to them, right? That you're open, that you're willing. When our kids come to us to tell us something, show us something, that we're stopping what we're doing and paying attention to them in those moments, and really connecting and letting them know that we're here when things may get big for them. And it's important to know when things are big for them, they're not always big for us, right? Like you opened saying about all these great, big, huge things in the world. And we sometimes think, oh my gosh, if our kids come talk to us about any of these huge world events, I need to be on my game. I need to stop what I'm doing and listening. But it's also, what's important to them may not even be. It might be something that we might identify as trivial. To them, it's still important. So if we're not being the people that are interested and open and willing when they're coming to us with things that are important to them, then they may choose to go elsewhere. So it's important to be in connection with your children to figure out what's important to them.
Kelly, it's really interesting something you say, because we had a counselor on Brant Life last week, and we were talking about a similar topic, and she said something very similar to you. And Nikki, I know this is something, just knowing you over the years, that you've utilized over the years, is the car ride, is the say, hey, let's make the time to be able to have dedicated time. And when you're locked in a car with someone, you've got you and them and the radio maybe, but it's a set aside time to be able to go, hey, I want to be able to spend this with you, to be able to hear you. Why is that effective and important, Nikki? Like, why is that something that we should do and offer and do it intentionally?
Well, from my own experience, I have a very extreme externalizer and a very extreme internalizer. And my internalizer, I cannot get talking face to face. Like we go for breakfast, we whatever, and we'll play games, but cannot get that conversation going. But there's something about being in a car ride, and you're not facing each other. You're not right in each other's face. And there's a space and a comfort level that you can now just kind of navigate. And I have really found that if I get curious as a parent and just say, okay, hey, like, how are you feeling about this? Now, obviously I have young adult children as well, so I would tailor my questions to be age appropriate, but how do you feel about this? And get curious about what their experience has been, rather than, getting really concerned and putting your concern on them. Just get curious, because you may be worried and they're not. They may be worried and you're not. And you won't be able to figure that out until you just kind of create that safe space. And I have found for myself, we talk about a lot of weird things prior to getting to important things. And I have found with both of my kids, if the things that are important to them, their favorite game, their favorite music, the things they like to create, this strange, weird anime, whatever it is, if that is safe with you, then so are the more important topics. And so you kind of have to wade through some of that, what appears trivial to you, to Kelly's point. And I've found in my experience what Kelly has said, absolutely right.
But plus you have a little Fiat, so there's nowhere to go, right? There's barely even leg room.
Yeah,
barely even leg room.
You have an undivided audience.
Literally.
Where are you gonna go, kid? Yeah. So here's brass tacks. Sometimes it's easier to avoid this as a parent. In fact, I think, I'm sure that leads to a plethora of our own issues, but we don't really want to have to deal with some of these really tough things in ourselves. So it's even harder to be able to go, hey, kid, what are some of the things that we should be thinking about as parents and adults in the community about whether or not to discuss these things?
Well, I think we need to take cues from our children, right? When they are interested, when they're hearing things, I think that is a really good indicator. I think it's important whenever we're talking to our kids that we're in the right state of mind. It is not a good idea for me to talk to somebody when I'm hungry, usually, but taking stock of our own emotions and our own values in that moment. It's okay to take a deep breath and to, regroup before you dive into some of these topics. And, because they don't always come when you're ready and waiting for this information. It like plows at you in the middle of doing or thinking of something else typically, so it's important to make sure that we're giving ourselves a minute to catch our breath and to, really figure out what we're going to say and our standpoint into a situation. And you know what? The reality is we don't have all the answers, and that's okay. We're not going to have all the answers to all the things all the time. It's that connection, right? It's the fact that you're the one that's there in front of them, that they know they don't have to carry whatever that heavy load is on their own. And if you may not even know exactly what it is, sometimes just being with somebody and sharing and somebody that you trust and love, that you can just say, this load's heavy right now. Here, can you share holding that with me and holding space for that in that moment? Sometimes that's what we offer, and that is absolutely good enough.
Yeah, guys, got about 30 seconds. Maybe just chat about where people can turn to you guys at Woodview if you do need extra help.
Absolutely. So we have our walk-in clinics at Harmony Square. You can call, you can text anytime. If you need somebody right away, we will have staff getting back to you within 24 hours. You can book an appointment there, or you can call Woodview or contact Brant to explore other options depending on what your needs are. And we're very open and willing. We know this is a difficult season, and we're here to help.
Awesome. Kelly Bryant, Nikki Strasser from Woodview, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate your time and sharing some of these really important things to remember so that we can all get through this in the positive mental space that we want to be able to get to it. Thanks so much, guys.